with the Lakers. This on the heel of LeBron's 2-year, $85 million deal. He's got an early termination option if he wants it. You know you're always angling for the money, which is why he became a free agent after the season ended. This is the king himself on Spectrum Sportsnet and the Road Trippin' podcast on if the purple and gold, Keys guys, can go back to back.
We can. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, we absolutely can. First of all, it all starts with health. You have to have some luck, and you have to have health. If we can stay healthy, but we did get younger. And we got the 27-year-old point guard. We got the 27-year-old Sixth Man of the Year award in Trez. We got younger.
With Mark.
You know, we got Mark, who's a Defensive Player of the Year, and his IQ
is off the charts, as is LeBron's. Keyshawn J. Will Zubin brought to you by Shell. Get more time to listen to our show by going to Shell and getting 3 things done at once. First, fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program. Snack up to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell. That news on the contract broken by Woj, who will join us at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. All right, Key, resident Lakers fan, and obviously Jay. Woj there with the tweet on ESPN News if you're watching. Thoughts on repeating and thoughts on having AD back to the tune of 190.
Really? You just asked me that?
I'm asking you.
Coming back? He was never leaving. Remember, I always said, Zuma, superstars don't leave the L.A. Lakers. Players leave the L.A. Lakers for free agency, not superstars. He was never going to Chicago. He's never flirting with this team. No. I mean, it was going to happen. It just was, I'm going to chill and I'll let it happen because it's going to happen. There's no rush to doing it. In terms of repeating, of course they have an opportunity, much like LeBron said. It's about health. They got younger, and they're in the driver's seat to repeat. I mean, they're the one team, I think, out of the West that really doesn't have any major hiccups along the way. The Clippers got a new head coach. There's some turmoil.
Clippers didn't make any moves in free agency.
No moves in free agency. And when you look at it, there was some turmoil inside the organization with the coach and the players. And so the Lakers are just smooth selling. That's all. Shh.
They have gotten exponentially better. Exponentially better. Shout out to Rich Paul, probably the most powerful agent in the game. You knew AD was going to get the money. You know, I disagree with LeBron James calling Dennis Schroeder a PG. LeBron James will be the point guard for this team. He led the league in assists, averaging 10 assists per game. He's the de facto point guard all the time. You want the ball in his hands. But Dennis Schroeder now is a guy with 6 Man of the Year. He can score off the bench. He can score anywhere on the floor. You bring in another guy in Montrezl Harrell that gives you the same energy. They essentially stole him out of the same building that the Clippers live in. Mm-hmm. They stole him from the same building. And you surround him with shooters. I mean,
well, they're renting our building, by the way.
Until they
your building.
Yes, until they go to their new facility, which they're going to build out soon.
We're landlords,
Inglewood,
right?
But
Lakers old place.
Yeah. They gotten younger, they gotten faster, and LeBron says health. I agree with him on health. They are light years ahead of every other team right now in the Western Conference.
By the way, the Clippers going to the Lakers' old home of Inglewood. How about that?
Well,
eventually.
The city.
Right. Yeah,
the city, they are. But it's the Lakers are the team to beat out West. And I think everybody knows that. You know, what happened to Golden State obviously is not a good thing. Some people felt like that they would maybe give the Lakers a run for their money. I never felt that way. Denver's there. We don't know what Houston's going to wind up looking like at the end. You know, the Clippers, again, as Jay Will said, the Clippers didn't make nothing. They didn't do anything. They lost Montrezl Harrell to us. And so when you think about that, you're like, okay, where are they going to be able to compete with the Lakers at?
Indeed.
Portland's gotten better. Phoenix has gotten better. Dallas has gotten better. But like I said before, I don't expect James Harden to be in Houston. Before it's all said and done, I expect him to come east. You're going to start seeing guys, because of the opportunity to go either to Philly, I need to go to Brooklyn, I need to get out of here because this is not what I signed up for. And I don't know if this makes me happy to be here in Houston long term. If I wake up and I'm Bradley Beal on the East Coast in D.C., I'm saying, oh, I think we have a chance to be top 5 in the East right now. Getting Brody to come here to D.C., getting Davis Bertans to sign a 5-year, $80 million deal. This puts us almost in the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. So, look, I now look at Houston and I say, John Wall, I hope he comes back and has an incredible year. Hasn't played since 2018, okay? He's injury prone coming off that injury. You have DeMarcus Cousins, injury prone, coming off an injury. Now, that's an interesting team. If I'm Houston, if I'm Raphael Stone, how much longer can you hold on to James Harden without him publicly becoming a disgruntled employee? So if he's at a post presser every single day, when you know he's going to be asked this question over and over and over again, are you happy here? Eventually, Harden's going to tell you how he feels. Do you lose trade value the longer you hold on to him? Or now are you starting to look at the Brooklyn situation and say, hey, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, some future first-round picks. Maybe that is enough for a guy like James Harden, because I feel like James Harden has given his heart and soul to Houston. James Harden deserves to have a shot at winning a world championship, and that will not occur in Houston. He has a better chance of doing that with Brooklyn or Philadelphia. Do the right thing for James Harden.
Do the right thing for James. Do the right thing for James. I look at it and say, you know what? This is kind of like for Westbrook going east and Wall going to Houston, they kind of just swapped contracts and players of that style to me. I mean, you get a healthy guy versus a guy that you really don't know a whole lot about unless they've had some private workouts of some sort on video where they've had an opportunity to see him bounce and run around where they can say, okay, I think we're getting a 2018 John Wall pre-injury, so we're okay with that. Boogie Cousins, on the other hand, we know what that, not only from an injury standpoint, but also from an in-shape standpoint, what that's going to look like. In terms of James Harden, and I've always said this, and I will continue to say it until I die, professional athletes, the moment that they tell organizations that they don't want to be there, the organization will try the best to move them. It just because you don't want to have a hostile situation inside of a locker room, especially with a young new head coach coming in to try to manage the situation. I don't care what he's done in his past previous stops with certain athletes and personalities, but to have a new head coach come in and you have a disgruntled player, I don't want to call it disgruntled, a player that's just not really feeling what's going on because he's watching potentially what the Brooklyn Nets could be doing in James Harden or potentially what Philadelphia could be doing. And he's sitting back there saying, I can be a part of that, but you're holding me hostage when I don't want to be here. I think Raphael Stone will get around to figuring out how to move James Harden. You got to go one piece at a time. It's too much to try to, just to digest when you have to deal with Westbrook, which was probably the easier deal to get done, and you got Harden, both of them on the same table, and you trying to navigate through that. That's a lot. So you want to get one off the table. Now we could turn our attentions to James Harden and potentially a Philadelphia deal or potentially a Brooklyn Nets deal. You revisit that now and see where it goes.
Let me tell you this. Right now with John Wall, because of the injury, he slipped and fell at his home. He had a ruptured Achilles. I thought Dustin Johnson was the only guy that could use that as an excuse if you're a golf fan out there. But 3 years, $132 million. You don't exactly know what you're getting. You know Russ obviously is a huge deal that's worth more than $130 million left on his deal as well. But we know what we've gotten from Russell Westbrook. At this point, 3 years, $132. We don't know what we're going to get from Wall. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just know somebody else who slipped and fell and then was out of work for 2 days.
You almost got cussed out, man.
What? He just, you slipped and fell at the house. You rolled your ankle. You're out for 2 days. That's all I'm saying.
DJ slipped and fell at Augusta. Key slipped and fell in Brooklyn. And John Wall did so in and around the district.
Because you're trying to sell a narrative to the people that's listening and looking as if I'm clumsy and non-athletic.
No, you're extremely athletic.
And I'm not going to have you doing that.
Your dog came underneath you and you didn't see him early in the morning. I'm just saying it happens. It's feasible. That's all.
No doubt. We're always having fun. So just quickly to go back, you don't know what you're going to get from Wall, as I mentioned, the 700 days, 3 years, 132. But let me ask you it from this particular standpoint, Jay, from an NBA perspective. The Wizards, this wasn't really talked about much because they haven't been talked about much. They were in the bubble. They played 8 games. They lost 7 of the 8 games. It basically took them to their final game in the bubble till they won one. They've been off the national radar for years. The furthest they made it with Wall was the Eastern Conference semifinals. I'm not pinning that on Wall. I'm just saying that this is a team that there's a shot of adrenaline that needs to come into this team's arm.
And they just got it.
with somebody as exciting as Westbrook, playing at 100 miles an hour like Westbrook, the entertainment factor. I just think there's something there here for Washington, even though everybody's talking about what it means for Houston, the residual for Harden. For Washington, they need to be relevant, and this gives them some relevancy.
And first off, to all the haters out there, Key, everybody with all these different narratives, you were talking about narratives before. Well, Brody isn't a guy that helps the culture of your team. That's wrong. Brody does help the culture of your team. Let's talk about what happened to him. He started off slow this year, okay? Then he came on hot. Then he got COVID, missed some time in the bubble, came into the bubble, did decently to come in, and then had an injury to his hamstring. I want you to hear the numbers that he finished the regular season with, averaging 27, 8 rebounds per game, 7 assists, all NBA third team. Now you pair him with a guy like Bradley Beal, that is one of the most prolific scorers we have in the game. Davis Bertans, another guy that shot 43% from the three-point line. The style and pace in which they're going to play in D.C., Eastern Conference is wide open. I mean, look, the Nets are probably the favorite. You have Milwaukee who's there. You have the Celtics who are there. You have the Miami Heat. Even though I think last year was a little bit of an anomaly, I don't think the Miami Heat go to the World Championship if it's not in the bubble. They didn't do a lot in free agency. I still like their team, but the Hawks made some moves. Big respect to Danilo Gallinari. He comes to the Hawks. They have the pieces, John. The council there. Trae Young is still there. Rondo's there now. But I think this team could finish top 5 in the East.
No question. And that's proof the Wizards won the trade. As Jay says, it's totally wide open now in the East. Proof is brought to you by Pennzoil. Pennzoil synthetic motor oils are made from natural gas. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof's in the Pennzoil, based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Last couple notes, the NBA season, the regular season begins December 22nd. So both of these teams have less than 3 weeks to try to integrate these 2 new pieces into their lineup. And for the casual NBA fan, Jay mentioned it, for the casual fan that doesn't know how good Bradley Beal is, we're about to find out with that